The Krextar raiding party had been expecting resistance when they boarded the civilian transport Golden Horizon. What they hadn't expected was to find their path blocked by a creature barely reaching their knees. Lieutenant Pip of the Terran-Zephyrian Alliance stood at the entrance to the passenger compartment, his diminutive blue-scaled form dwarfed by the towering Krextar warriors. At just under 3 feet tall, the Zephyrian officer looked more like an exotic pet than a soldier to the 8-foot-tall raiders. "Move aside, little one," growled War Chief Graktul, his scarred hide gleaming under the transport's emergency lighting. "We seek the human cargo manifest. You are too small to be of concern." Pip's large, crystalline eyes remained fixed on the raiders, his tiny hands resting calmly on what appeared to be an oversized sidearm. "I'm afraid I can't allow you to proceed further, gentlemen. This vessel is under Terran Alliance protection." The Krextar war party erupted in harsh laughter, their guttural voices echoing through the corridors. Several passengers whimpered in the compartments behind Pip. "Protection?" Graktul's mandibles clicked with amusement. What protection could something so small provide? "You are not even a proper meal." He gestured to his warriors. "Perhaps we will keep you as entertainment." "That would be inadvisable," Pip replied politely, his voice remaining steady despite facing creatures that could crush him with one claw. "My partner wouldn't appreciate it." "Your partner?" Another raider, Vexmal, leaned down to examine the tiny soldier more closely. "Is there another toy soldier hiding somewhere?" Pip tilted his head thoughtfully. "He's currently in Engineering Base 7, dealing with the rest of your boarding parties. He should be finished with them shortly." The raiders exchanged glances. They had indeed sent 3 assault teams to different sections of the ship, but communication had been spotty since boarding. Still, the idea that one being could handle 15 trained Krextar warriors was absurd. "You lie, small one," Graktul snarled. "Nothing could." The ship's intercom crackled to life. "Pip, you okay up there?" The voice that emerged was calm, almost conversational, with a distinctly human accent. "Quite well, Marcus," Pip replied without taking his eyes off the raiders. "Though our guests seem to believe I'm inadequately equipped for this situation." "Ah." There was a pause. "Should I come up? If you wouldn't mind." They're being rather insistent. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the transport's corridors, growing steadily louder. The Krextar warriors automatically formed a defensive formation, suddenly aware that something had changed in the ship's atmosphere. Sergeant Marcus Chun appeared at the far end of the corridor, and the raiders' confidence evaporated instantly. The human stood 6.5 feet tall, but it wasn't his height that gave the Krextar pause. It was the way he moved, fluid, predatory, like death given form and purpose. His combat armor was scorched and splattered with what appeared to be Krextar blood. In his hands, he carried a weapon that no military database in the galaxy had ever cataloged. "Gentlemen," Marcus said pleasantly, as if greeting old friends at a social gathering, "I understand you've been giving my partner some trouble." Graktul's throat sac contracted nervously. "The small one is your partner?" "Best spotter in the Alliance," Marcus confirmed, beginning to walk slowly toward the group. Each step seemed to echo with unnatural menace. "Pip's got the sharpest tactical mind I've ever worked with. Sees patterns, angles, probabilities that most species can't even comprehend." The tiny Zephyrian's crystalline eyes glittered. "Marcus, I calculate a 73.6% probability they'll attempt to rush us in the next 8 seconds. The leader will break left, 2 will go right, the others straight ahead." "Copy that, partner." What happened next would be discussed in Krextar military academies for generations. The raiders moved exactly as Pip had predicted, and Marcus responded with surgical precision that seemed to bend the laws of physics. The engagement lasted exactly 14 seconds. When the corridor fell silent, 8 Krextar warriors lay unconscious on the deck plating, while their would-be victims remained completely unharmed. "Excellent calculations as always, Pip," Marcus said, holstering his weapon. The small Zephyrian officer straightened his tiny uniform jacket with pride. "Thank you, Marcus. Though I must say, they were rather predictable for a species with such a fearsome reputation." As medical teams arrived to tend to the subdued raiders, passengers began emerging from their hiding places. Many stared in amazement at the unlikely partnership, the massive, battle-scarred human and his diminutive alien partner. "How did you know?" asked a passenger, still trembling from the encounter. Pip's large eyes sparkled with something that might have been amusement. "Simple mathematics and psychology. Plus, I've worked with humans long enough to know size isn't what makes something dangerous." Marcus grinned. "Besides, the best partnerships aren't about matching strengths. They're about covering each other's weaknesses." The Krextar war chief, regaining consciousness, groaned weakly. The small one was the real threat all along. "Nah," Marcus chuckled, helping Pip secure the prisoners. "We both were. That's what makes us partners."